Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Smash Dispatch Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Fidel, joined alongside me, my co-host, Ultima Shadow X.
Hello.
How you been doing, man? What's new? What's been going on?
Definitely been busy between work and I really was trying to finish Persona 5 Royal, so
did you do it?
Yeah, I just beat it like 2 days ago,
nice.
I have a lot of thoughts on that. I'm gonna be doing something about that, but yeah, it's just been kind of like quiet in the Smash world because a lot of tournaments are online now. So
tell me about that because I don't keep up with the online tourney Smash scene right now.
Well, I believe it's called the Quarantine Series, and Critical puts it on. And like a bunch of other members of the Smash community, because a lot of the events were canceled, so a lot of those events moved online, like Pound Series and things like that. So that's really been where a lot of the competitive playing has been going on nowadays, like a lot of streams and the like.
Right. And
that's specifically why if you saw like that Fix Ultimate Online, if you saw that trending like a few days ago. I believe Zero and a bunch of other pro players were like, this is why we need good netcode. Like, this is just a good example of why, like, it's so hard to take online play, seriously because, obviously online has its share of issues.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess the game definitely, I mean, obviously, like, it had online in mind, but it definitely didn't have genuine competitive online in mind, like, for having, like, competitions and stuff.
I mean, they have the tournament mode, but, the tournament mode is more, they have, special rule sets. It's not exactly like...
It's not like Smash specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, hopefully one day. I personally don't think Ultimate itself is gonna fix that in its lifespan. Maybe it'll get some improvements, but I think, like, what's in there is what's in there, and maybe the next game will fix upon that.
Yeah, I think maybe the next game they'll consider looking into more like better fighting game netcode. I think I agree with what you said. I think the biggest problem is just Nintendo's online infrastructure as it is.
Right.
And I'm not like here to bash. Like, honestly, like, I understand where pros are coming from. Like, when you play like in an offline like competitive environment and you have to play online only, I can understand why it would seem more like annoying to you. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to like play online in streams and just like between events, but it's the only way to play. Like I think people are starting to get very like fed up with it. But I think. As I have a LAN adapter, I personally don't have that many issues with lag or delay personally. But again, I'm not a pro player, and they can notice those things way more than we can.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it'll always be that thing of like I've played out of all the hours I've spent on Smash Online, it's like I could probably count maybe out of 500 plus, or I don't even know how many online matches I've done. Maybe 10, maybe 20 to 30 of them have been laggy, right? It's in 1v1s, but the rest of the time I've been good. And obviously, if you're a pro player, you're noticing that slight input delay, because I could never notice that stuff because I'm not that nerdy into that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I get it. It definitely sucks for the pro players. Again, obviously it's a weird situation where usually tournaments are held locally, so they can't really help it. But it's definitely an issue, and hopefully in the future they get that rolling fixed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking of a hashtag fix Ultimate Online, stuff like that, today's episode is actually going to be about a subject that is kind of heavy in on the internet, which is going to be the Smash community, right? What the stigma around the Smash community, the good about it, the bad about it, why it's so talked about why it's so out there, why it feels so much more vocal than like other fighting, like, because I'm sure obviously other fighting game communities have a voice, but it always feels like the Smash one is in spotlight for better or worse. And there's a lot of factors to that, whether it's like what happens at events or what's happened in the past, etc., etc. So Ultima and I are going to get all into this, and don't worry, we're going to try to do our best to cover both sides, because I'm sure there's criticisms to be had and discussions there. So let's start with the general thought. So Ultima, what would you say, like if you were just given, if someone just came up to you and asked you, what do you think about the Smash community, what would you say?
I mean, okay, so I think this might be like, I don't know if this is like a controversial take or a weird take, but I genuinely think like there is no such thing as like a single Smash community, like in my mind, because I think it's difficult to put so many people into one blanket, and let me explain. So like we have obviously there's a big online presence for Smash because it's a big game. There's a lot of characters that people care about and franchises people care about, and that just sort of draws them into the game to begin with. And it's very much a game that people have very like close childhood memories playing. And I think that's maybe the one connecting factor. But because Smash has so many people, the people who play casually, people who like are semi-invested, people who are actually competitive pro players, people who go to events, I think there are so many different types of people within the one community that it's really hard to say, oh yeah, the Smash community. Because like think about people who like play the game, like they do so casually, but they like don't really interact like online. They don't really have an online presence. They just like playing the game with their friends or with other people, but they don't really like go on forums, or they don't really do stuff on social media about the game. You know, I feel like, do you include those people in the Smash community?
I feel like don't, right? Because I feel like when you're talking about community members, you're talking about people that like actively talk about the game in some capacity, like whether it's like sharing their online matches or sharing which characters they want to see in the game, or sharing all these kind of things. Like I'd say, I feel like community is like when there's some involvement as opposed to like the audience, because like there's obviously I wouldn't say the 20 million people who bought Ultimate are part of the community. No, I would say like the people that are out there having discussions and putting out hashtags and watching Zero streams or a Smash streamer streams, or all these people that like to watch Smash content, or obviously play it for a living, or even like that keep up with a lot of the, like if you're just involved any way in Smash, and you're not just playing the game with friends out of any context of Twitter, like you don't even know that a ballot existed for Smash or whatever, I would say that's not in it. I would say the community sticks to usually people that are at least somewhat involved in there.
Okay, well, in that regard, I definitely think there's a divide between the online community, like, and the community who actually like goes to events. Like, I think definitely there is a big divide in that, because I think, like, as someone who has gone to events, I feel like a lot of the stigmas around the community, like, are just, obviously it's the internet, and it's gonna get exaggerated, and people will run with things. But I definitely think it's very heavily exaggerated, because I think, when you're online, of course, people are just gonna like say what they want and just be more carefree. But like when you're actually at an event, like I have had nothing but positive experiences with people at events, like because people are aware, like, oh, like if you're here, you're serious about the game, you really care a lot about the game. Whereas like someone who's less involved with the community online, maybe they post about it, they talk about it a bit, but they aren't like like playing the game 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been to locals, and people are always really chill there. I went to Evo last year, and like at the Smash Finals, there was a bunch of people. Even like Roger's Base was there. He invited me to just sit down with him and watch the matches and stuff. So it's like there's a ton of good people in the Smash community, but it's like there is definitely a stigma, and I don't think it's like totally unfair. Like, for example, right? It's like I feel like Smash is I mean, I'm sure other stuff happens at other events, but like I feel like incidents at Smash events are more frequent than others. So like we have, for example, what was it? Was it Evo 2 years ago where 3 years ago where everybody walked out on the two Bayonetta finals? The two people in the finals that were playing Bayonetta.
Yeah, yes, that was, I think, definitely probably the lowest point in the Smash community, and I think it's really hard to point fingers in that situation. So let me explain. Like, obviously, I think it's inappropriate to boo players, like, no matter what. Like, if Bayo was obviously, like, far ahead as the best character in the game. If you're a pro player and you want to win and there's money on the line, you're going to pick Bayo. Like, that's something that people got to understand, and I think that's something I'll lead into a little bit after. But, again, like, I think, you know, booing people at an event for playing a character you don't like is very immature. But if you remember, like, the two players in the grand finals, because they knew they were, like, you know, because they knew they were getting booed, were, like, you know, stalling the game, like, homie stalking, and just, like, being really inappropriate in that regard, too. And that only just, like, you know, spurred it on more. So it's like, yeah, it's inappropriate to boo, but, like, if you're a pro player, if you're a player with a following, I feel like you are the person who has the most influence on the community, because you're the people that people look up to you, you know, as, like, you know, you're a pro player. So, like, you have to you have to be careful about your attitude, basically, is what I'm trying to get across.
For sure. I mean, yeah, like, it's like, that's always, like, yeah, I mean, and we have stuff like that. What, like, there's been a bunch, like, there was the crab throw situation.
Hungry box thing? Yeah. And then again, like, that's also another thing. I feel like, you know, there is a Smash community, but you have, you know, a Melee community, you have an Ultimate community, and they cross over. I would say they cross over. Like, I would say a fair amount of people who, like, you know, enjoy Ultimate will, like, do watch Melee and vice versa. I think there is, like, an overarching crowd, but I definitely think that a lot of the crowd who's deeper into Melee doesn't really care much about, like, Ultimate players as much, you know. So there's also that regard, too, where there's another split. I think that's what I was saying earlier, is I think the Smash community is a very divided group, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That for Smash, it's an interesting one where there is a big Melee and Ultimate community, and it's like, that's why I feel like there's a lot of butting heads, because, like, for example, there's the thing of a lot of Melee players will just stick to Melee and always say, like, oh, that game will never be as good, right? And you'll have those people just kind of always being there and being like, oh, it's never good as Melee, it's never as good as Melee. And then like
and then you have Ultimate people who are like, oh yeah, like, I'm glad that you know, I'm glad Melee's out of Evo, like, or like they don't care about Melee. Who cares about Melee? So old. Like, I think, like, you know, I do think that sort of mentality has gone down though recently, because I think I will say this. I think there's been a fair amount of, like, pro Melee players who are, like, competing in Ultimate. Like, I know Leppin, Hungry Box, Armada, they all sort of played Ultimate. They competed in Ultimate. And I think that sort of brought down, like, the gap between, like, the butting heads in that regard, which I'm very thankful for. But I definitely think it's still a little bit there.
Well, I think the big thing especially is if you're playing competitively and you got to think monetarily, you are getting less and less incentive to be playing Melee, right? You are not getting big, not that you're getting crazy big bucks playing Smash, but I mean, you're definitely not getting much playing Melee, so that's more, it feels like, now it's more a thing of, I feel like Melee getting phased out of Evo stage was a big moment to be like, now it is going to be a winding down thing where now it's more of like just like, you know, when you have tournaments for Street Fighter 2 or older fighting games, it's going to become more of that legacy thing of you're kind of playing those older games for smaller pot bonuses and just because you love the game, as opposed to really trying to live off that game, because that's really hard nowadays, because Ultimate is so beloved and so, for the most part, well balanced and well made, and most people want to gravitate towards that game.
Yeah, I think Melee definitely has a higher entry barrier for new players.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not that, like, you know, even, you know, I will say this, like, even, you know, don't, like, I say that, but I don't mean that, like, I don't mean to dissuade people from entering Melee, because I will say, like, Melee players will definitely work hard to, like, help you get better, like, improve, like, Because when I went to Genesis, I think it was Genesis 3, I love Melee, but I had never, like, played it competitively because it was just a different era for me. But I knew a lot of the mechanics. I was playing around, and I literally, this was back in Smash 4 era, and I literally just on a whim went to the Melee setup. I was messing around, and I was just playing against random Melee players, and they were kicking my ass. But you know what? It was fun because they were like, "Oh, like, did you know you could do that?" They were showing me stuff. They were teaching me stuff, and I think even if you look at Melee and you're like, "Oh man, I could never do it," like, don't get discouraged because people will help you. But that being said, like what you were saying earlier. Like, yeah, Melee is becoming more and more of a legacy title, and I think the biggest thing now is, like, Nintendo, obviously, since Smash 4, has been focusing their efforts on those games. Like, Nintendo Versus is all about, like, they want to promote the newest Smash title.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just business.
Yeah.
But I will say, Melee as a competitive game survived, like, way before Nintendo even cared, and it's still doing pretty well, like, even after that, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
So
exactly, yeah.
I wouldn't underestimate the Melee community to
sure,
keep on
yeah.
going strong. They don't even, like, they said, like, we don't need EVO. We have crazy good events, and actually the years that that Melee hasn't been at EVO, I think, like, competitive Melee has been really popping off. But I agree that, like, I think it's becoming harder nowadays just to strictly only play Melee.
Oh,
like,
for
I
sure,
definitely agree with you in that regard.
Yeah. So we have the kind of, like, physical competitive scene, but then a big part of the Smash community is kind of the internet, right? Because I feel like the internet is where you definitely get a lot of good and a lot of bad, right? Just like anyone on the internet faces, right? Like, anything that's big online will get some sort of hate, warranted or not warranted. And there's a lot of factors to that. I mean, there's two sides, right? Yeah, like, there's people online that complain about, like, how Nintendo handles the competitive scene and stuff, which, again, very fair criticisms, right? Nintendo's not, like,
exactly.
number
Nintendo
one.
has definitely dropped the ball in some regards, yeah.
For sure. But then you have, like, the people that are... Then there's the community that complain about characters, right? Like, that is I think the biggest and most vocal one, right? Because obviously competitive is big, but there's nothing bigger than character reveals and character stuff, because that's, like, the heart and soul of the game, and that's what the average community member really cares about the most, right? So that's, like, I feel like that's, like, the biggest one, because that's where you get so much good and bad, right? Because we have the people that will see... I mean, we've always talked about stuff, a character that... someone that sees a character that's added to the game as a wasted slot, right? Like, it takes the spot of another character, or it's a character they don't like, therefore it's okay to hate, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole character thing, like, it's split. There's two things that I wanted to talk about with specifically character related stuff. So the first thing was what I alluded to earlier, was, like, people were hating on, in Smash 4 days, people would hate you if you played Bayonetta. And I think very similar, like, I guess you could argue, like, a lot of people, like, will bash people who play Palutena and the like. And,
oh, right, yeah.
And what I was trying to say in that regard is, like, when it comes to, I feel like more so than any other fighting game, like, people get mad, like, people will hate on you for the character you play, like,
exactly.
For a lot of time in the Smash community. And, like, I think that mentality really comes from the fact that a lot of people who play Smash, like, that is, like, their only exposure to fighting games, or, like, the fighting game, like, community as a whole. And because of that, like, they don't really know, like, that have the same competitive mindset, like, as a lot of, like, as, like, the bigger FGC as a whole, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, like, in regards to, like, character, characters people want, characters don't want, and I think, like, I feel like you said, because of Smash as a whole, where people have, like, really special connections to the characters because they're from a bigger overarching franchise, that's what makes it such bigger of, like, a thing, you know what I mean? Because, like, if you're someone who, like, let's talk about Street Fighter, like, if you like Street Fighter, it's just Street Fighter. Like, yeah, exactly, like, people like Ryu, or, like, they like Chun-Li, and they want to see those characters back, but, like, they're also like, hey, like, Street Fighter always introduces brand new characters. Let's see what they can do. But Smash is like, this is, like, a character from a big franchise that people know and love, and they're very close to personally,
Yeah, I mean, everyone, yeah, it's what we always say. Everyone has a favorite, everyone has their thing. So obviously, if, like, they feel like a character from a franchise they want isn't in or something, then that can lead to some complaining. And it's like, and yeah, like you said before about, that's a thing in every fighting game of, like, if you play the best character, people hate you. And it's just like, again, you gotta remember, like, if you are, no shit, if you're playing competitively and you know money's on the line, it's like you're gonna want to learn the best character in the game. And it's like, you can't blame the player, you blame the company if you think the character is too busted. Like, it's not a player's fault for playing a good character in the game. Like, they're not gonna play a shitty character to prove a point, right? That's just dumb. Like, that is
right.
You're not gonna appease the haters on the internet, right? It's like, the haters are always gonna be there, bro. I deal with them, you deal with them, giant players could deal with them. Everyone that has any notable, like, if anyone who has any sort of massive crowd that knows them, there's people that hate them. It's just like, that's the fact. That's part of the wave. That's part of life in general, right? The bigger you are, the more there's people that hate you as well as people that love you, right? So in that regard, that's always gonna be a thing. And again, same thing for just the Smash games in general. They're just like, they're so big that it's easy to have a lot of hate, but a lot of love. Because yeah, it's like I think, like, when I look at a lot of the good stuff about, like, the Smash community, it's like, I love when a character is introduced and people are super hyped. Like, you look at Banjo or you look at King K. Rool or stuff where, like, you see, like, I think we can all agree Smash reactions are the best reaction videos on the internet. I think. No,
I agree. I think, and that's tying back to what I said earlier. The reason why Smash reactions have such a big, like, are so, like, emotional for so many people is that these characters, besides just, it's hype because Smash is, like, such a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's again that special connection. I had a friend who was at that E3 when they revealed Ridley, and he was someone who for years was like, I really want Ridley in Smash, like. And because he's a very big Metroid fan, and, like, legitimately, like, he cried when they added Ridley because, like, that meant a lot to him. It is a character that he is very close to, and, like, you get that so much in Smash because, again, like, it's not just a character; it's a whole franchise. It's a character. It's a person's memories. It's a person's childhood. Yeah.
That's why, like, even a game like Fighters, right? When they introduce, like, a villain or a new character or something, it's like people lose it because they know that character. They look at, like, oh my god, how did they represent this moveset from this franchise? Oh, look, that their side B is this attack from this game. It's like, that's what's amazing about Smash reactions is it's like you're getting a character that either one is just not only just looks cool aesthetically, but it's like you get a crazy cool hype CG trailer, you get a cool, you just get, like, that feeling of, oh my god, a part of my childhood is here, right? It's like that's always something magical about Smash. And I mean, like, people go crazy over, like, a fucking costume in Smash. I mean, to this day, like, I think it, like, there's stats that show, like, the Sans reveal is, like, the top viewed reaction videos for Smash, and it's insane. Because, again, it's like, that's what I love about the Smash community. It's like, there's so much good and heart in terms of just, people get excited just for more content, right? It's a game that's all about, I mean, the reason why people love it so much is just because there's so much love put into it, right? The remixes, Sakurai as a figure, right? I feel like that's a big benefit.
Yeah, that's definitely a big community thing, is, like, how the view of Sakurai. And, like, I am kind of mixed because, like, on one hand, I think some people do, like, sort of exaggerate, like, his status as a god, but I think a lot of that is just people memeing. And
exactly.
It's a lot of that is also just, like, because people genuinely appreciate, like, what he's done so much. Like, if you think about, like, game directors in terms of, like, the whole sphere of video gaming, I can only, like, name, like, a handful that are as beloved as Sakurai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like Kojima, Miyamoto, Iwata, Sakurai, maybe, what's his name? Oh, Kamiya. And
Kamiya, definitely. Yeah, Yoko Taro, that's another one.
And
they're sort of, like, larger than life. Like Harada. Like,
Harada,
those are all people who are sort of larger personalities and just what they do, you know?
Yeah, but see, yeah, like you said, it's like a handful, right? It's like it's not something that's passed on to a bunch, right? It's ones that really stand out because, again, we talk about this, especially nowadays. It's pretty rare that nowadays you can be a face of any company without having a personality, right? Like having a figure in front of a camera, talking to the audience, right? We don't live in a time anymore where people just hear a disembodied voice, right? Or know, like they want to know who's behind the game. They want to hear the passion. They want to see what's up. Like they want to hear the people in charge talking about it, you know? Obviously Reggie was a big personality. He's not a developer, but just stuff like that, right? It's like, that's a big deal. So it's like, yeah, I think in a good way, Sakurai mostly gets love from the community. It's very few people that go at him, except like the psychos that, like, I don't know, when Waluigi isn't in and they go and clown on him and stuff like that. But again, like we said, that's just the nature of hate that you get when you're a big figure out there.
Yeah, and I do think that there are a fair amount of people who rightfully criticize some of Sakurai's decisions. Like, I know I have definitely been critical of some of his choices in the past, but that doesn't mean, like, overall, I don't think he works. Sucks, like, obviously, he works super hard. Like, maybe he's very stubborn about some things, and I wish he wasn't. But overall, like, I can't deny that he puts in as much work as he can for, like, for almost everything that he does. And then also, it's funny how you said it's really good to have, like, sort of that voice, that personality. And I have to say, like, I think one of my opinion, one of the single best things to come out of Ultimate are the Sakurai, like, breakdowns for characters.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like after Joker, all those things that he did, like, I really, really like that. Like, I feel like you get sort of a window into his thought process on what the character means to him, on what he wanted to achieve with the character. And, like, yeah, you've had, like, Smash Directs before where he's hosted them and, he's cracked jokes and, he's very fun. But I really like having the thought process behind the character, like, so up front. Like, I can listen to, like, when Terry got announced and he was just, like, talking about the SNK arcade days and blah, blah, blah. Like, I love that because you could tell he cared about it so much.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want like every fighting game dev to do stuff like this. I know the director of Fighters, I don't remember her name, but like she's very open and out there in interviews and conversations, which I really love. But it's like, yeah, I love stuff like that. Like if every developer did DLC breakdowns and stuff like that, it would just add so much charm. But it's like, yeah, I feel like Sakurai in a good way is like the safest pinnacle of Smash. And then there's like, there's a lot of it's like there's a lot of positive and negatives about character discussions of, again, I feel like in a good way, Echo characters chilled this argument out of clones just take spots. It's like it's funny how like Smash again has so many different discussion factors because of just how much content is in the game too, right? Or like how what's it called? I mean, people don't really blame Nintendo for this; they blame Square, right? But like how there's only 2 Final Fantasy tracks in there. It's like Smash covers so many like bases and grounds that's hard to like you said, narrow it down to one single community group in there.
Yeah, like, and I definitely think, the reason why, again, like, not only the reason why Smash community seems like very, very vocal is just because of the sheer number, but I think also the sheer number of things that are discussing within the Smash community at any given time. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many spheres. Like, you have people talking about character options and tournaments and content and blah, 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 blah. And, like, there's so much going on in Smash that, that non-competitive players can still talk about what they want to see in Smash, what they enjoy in Smash, and there's still, like, a huge crowd. Because, like, like, obviously, there is, like, a more casual, like, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, blah, blah, blah crowd. But a lot of the people who play that are playing, like, they're playing in a more competitive mindset. But, like, Smash offers so much more, like, fun, non-competitive things and just a broad array of, like, interests for people that there's so much more to talk about, I feel like, online especially.
Exactly. It's like you said, it's what we always talk about of just, like, it's always the vocal minority that just sounds louder, right? It's like we always have that because, again, a problem this is like a general societal problem, right? Like we tend to talk less. Like if we like something, we won't necessarily talk about it as much as someone that hates something, right? Like it's the same thing as, I mean, think about, like, even me yesterday, right? Like, there's a lot of people on my case yesterday, right? And it's like, it just comes off as more hateful than not, because an average person isn't just gonna randomly tweet, I like Fidel, right? So if someone has a problem, they're obviously gonna be like, I don't like Fidel, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, that's just a natural thing people do, right? I do think in a good way, Smash has the benefit of a lot of people constantly post positive things about it, posting polls, right, of which characters they want to see. Obviously, it's like when the ballot, like when I like that thing when the fighter pass showed the images and people putting in pictures of which characters they're predicting should be in there. It's like, I think like the nature of Smash being so discussable is where the community is so big again, or like stuff like the Smash ballot where people were not only voting, but they were like going on websites and putting what their vote was so that websites could poll which characters like were doing super well. It's like, it's just like, I love just, it's the reason we are doing this right here. It's the reason, I mean, Japan Time Podcast exists. It's the reason Source Gaming covers so much Smash, or a bunch of websites, because like there's something about discussing Smash that's so hype, because there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we have a show dedicated to this. Like, you could talk about casual play, you could talk about competitive play, you could talk about characters and items and all this stuff. It's like, and it always feels like people discover new things, or they're sharing good videos and stuff. It's like we said, it's like, it's always going to be easy to look at the bad, because in anything in life, it just stands out more, right? Because like no one's necessarily covering good news, right? They'll always be covering like the bad stuff for the most part. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff.
I think it's really easy to look at something negative and like point fingers, or like, you know, or take it way more seriously than like it should be taken. And I think like, you know, I think it's just because when you see like, you know, a lot of positivity going off, and then you see something negative or something with a negative connotation, it's sort of, you sort of like look at it and you're like, like, you know, why would they say that? Like,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and I think what's most important is like, at the end of the day, like, let's say you're a big fan of a character and like, you know, someone's clowning on you, like, who cares? Like, at the end, like, just like be a better person and just be like, you know what, that's fine. Like, you know, I just trying to spread like, you know, my own personal message about what I'd like to see, and without bringing someone else down.
Because
you know, and obviously that's within reason. Like, again, like I genuinely do think that it's nice that there are people like who campaign for characters in Smash, who
for sure,
really are passionate about seeing characters in Smash. I think that's great. I don't think you see that in like any other fighting game, but definitely like, you know, within like reason, like, you know, like again, Sakurai's like, please don't bother me about it, blah blah blah. Like, obviously that's going too far, but like, you know, if you're just like spreading a positive message that you want to see a character and you're not like bringing other people down, like, I think that, I mean, that's great. I mean, just have fun, you know. That's what we're all here to do, is just have fun with Smash.
I mean, like, it's like, I mean, Smash is one of the biggest examples of people asking for a character a bunch and in a positive light, and it happening, right? Like, Banjo,
Ultimate especially. Like,
exactly.
Ultimate was like K-Rool, Ridley, Belmont, Isabelle, like all those characters that people really wanted.
That's the thing. It's like, Smash isn't just like, it really is one of the few fighting games, because again, they're taking from other franchises and not inventing characters. It really is one of the most like, it kind of does work if you campaign positively for a character, right? Or you speak your mind. You know, it's like the fact that all those characters, like you said, got in finally, or you know, people campaigning for Sora or whatever. It's like shit like that. It's like, it's good to do. Like, it's important. Obviously, don't be like spamming. Don't be like spamming the spam. Don't,
or tagging people. Or like
don't
be
tagging.
But like,
exactly.
But like, again, like Sakurai, like, you know, even though he says like, you know, everything is locked in, blah blah blah. Like, that doesn't mean he isn't he isn't listening to the community.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people think that Nintendo is very removed from the community, and in some ways they are. Like we said, they aren't really big on supporting tournaments, you know, all out and fully embracing it, but they are listening. I think it's unfair to say like that they are turning a blind eye. Like, are they taking the community into consideration every single time? Very obviously not. but are they at least like mindful of it? Absolutely. I think you can't just say that Nintendo's like, oh, they don't care, they're doing what they want. Like in some instances they are, but a lot of the time I think they are paying attention to what people are saying.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean they have to. If you're a business in this day and age, you sort of have to sort of see what the reaction to things is.
I mean, the internet matters now more than ever, because like everyone's gonna react to anything you do right away, right? There's no like, you're never gonna dodge something, and you can't dodge anything nowadays, right? You do one little wrong thing, and I'm not saying you're gonna get destroyed, but people are going to have a thread about it, a Twitter thread about it, discussion about it, a Facebook thread about it, anything, right? It's like there's so many moving pieces in that sense. And like I feel like a lot of people especially get very passionate about DLC, because in any video game, DLC is appealing to your most hardcore audience, right? Because the most people that stick around for DLC, like a lot of people don't even finish games, so it's like DLC are for people that really are in that community and they want more. So that's why there's definitely always more, not necessarily heat going on, but stuff going on there, right? And like you said, we're all here for fun. It's like, you know, it's always what we joke around about, like the day a character comes out, right? It kind of sucks that some people feel like there are people that genuinely want to tweet, holy shit, it's crazy that all these characters are lined up together. And it sucks that now, like...
like the meme of like, oh, imagine showing this to somebody and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's, you know, those people, they don't mean anything. You know, it's genuinely amazing that it's even real.
Yeah,
like, I totally get where it's coming from.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because obviously, like, there's a meme factor, but there are genuinely some people I've seen getting shit just for genuinely posting, like, I can't believe I get to do this kind of match, right? It's like, again, it's a game that's for fun, that people are really passionate about, and everyone has different characters they love and care about. So it's like, just don't, like, again, the biggest thing just a general lesson for any fighting or even video game discussion in general, right? It's like, at the end of the day, this is a video game, right? It's like, there really is not much to get heated about when it's a product. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about like real world issues. It's a video game. So the amount of drama and issues someone should be pointing towards in a game should be very minimal, right? It's like it's genuinely problematic if you can't talk about a game, if you're talking about a video game and genuinely getting mad. Like, again, like, obviously, if a company is doing horrible business practice and stuff, that's worth a discussion, because that's bigger than the game. That's a problem out there, right? But if you're getting mad at someone for, like, how they talk about a game or how they put stuff about it, it's like, we just gotta chill. And again, the reason why just the Smash community is such a big discussion point is just because there's so many people in there, which is good. I mean, obviously, more people in there. You know, I mean, Smash Ultimate's finals had like a record view of Smash history and stuff like that. So it's like Smash continues to evolve and get bigger, thanks to the internet especially. And I hope it keeps growing. Again, like, obviously, I know a lot of people like a sort of intimate, closed community. I know a lot of people like that, because when things get big, that's when things kind of spiral out of control. That just, again, that applies to literally everyone and everything in life. But I do think, again, for the most part, right, it's like we said, it's easy to look on Smash because, again, of event situations that have happened, whether it's again, we gave 2 examples, but there's like plenty of bad things that have happened at Smash events. And it's like, it's important for the community to kind of learn from that. Like, there's also like, what would you, for example, want to see improved?
I think, well, it's hard to say, like, you know, obviously you can't just, you know, make a blanket statement of, like, I wish people wouldn't take blah, blah, blah so seriously, because, like, you know, like, I think there is a lot of people who are like, you know, they hate on certain characters, exactly. They don't want characters getting in, and, like, yeah, that's sort of, like, too much to ask to say, like, sure. You know, people should just stop being, like, so negative, because that's just, you know, obviously that's just part of the internet, that's part of people, is just, there is a negative side to everything, but I think if I had to say something that was, like, realistic, I honestly think that, like, I don't know, I feel like there should be more of, like, a, like, sort of, how do I want to put this, like, more of, like, a, like security or like more like safety at events. I think that's a very big one, because it's not that I've ever felt like unsafe at an event, but I definitely, you have stories of like, people like throwing things. Like no one should ever be at an event and feel unsafe, basically. And definitely I've heard stories from, women in the community who like, they've gone to events and have felt uncomfortable, like that sort of thing. Like if there was maybe more of like a security presence or more of like an emphasis on safety at events, I think that's something that's realistic that could be improved.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Stuff like that. I would also say just more open-mindedness, like that would be something I'd say.
That's generally like the end goal, the ideal end goal for sure.
Just more open-mindedness again. Like first of all, it's never gonna be the last Smash game. I understand people get really scared and passionate this time around because like this is kind of the last time we're gonna have one like this. So I understand people like it's almost like a ticking time bomb of like we got after ARMS. There's 5 more characters for the Smash game. So I understand there's totally a passion behind it, but it's like just be open-minded. If the team picked the character, obviously while there's monetary reasons behind it, we know that Sakurai and the team are putting a lot of work to make the character feel interesting and unique and authentic to the franchise they're from. So I would say that would be my piece of advice. Just more open-mindedness, even aside from characters. Just like when someone online is sharing something about the game, don't like just try to like chill out on it and stuff. Like don't always downplay it. And again, also like and be open to criticism. I think that's also a big thing of like it's like when people fix Ultimate Online isn't just like a shit show about Smash and saying it's garbage. It comes from a place of because there was a lot of people that were like, this is just plain garbage. But again, there's people that were like fair arguments of just like, hey, I love Smash Ultimate. It's one of my favorite games. I enjoy the online, but I just feel like X factor can be improved. Y factor can be improved. It's like it's okay to be critical of things. It's definitely like that's.
Yeah, it's okay to be critical as long as you're offering like what you like. If you're offering a suggestion or you're coming from a place of like it's because I love it and I want to see it be better. Like exactly. I think that's what a lot of people miss in criticisms. Like just. Of Smash, but in general, like I think a lot of people will just bash things, but they won't offer an alternative, or they won't like explain sort of their reasoning behind it. You know what I mean? It's just sort of bashing just the bash, and that's never like that sort of critiquing will never like and result in anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, that's everything about it. Again, like we said, a lot of good. A lot of bad. Again, that applies to any community. That's just the way it works. And also, again, just the thing of we always forget of not. It's everything ever. There's no such thing as just like. It's like when people will say the Persona community is garbage. I'm like, no. It's a group of people that suck. There's no such thing as a perfect community. There's garbage people.
And I would argue that a community in general is made up of so many different people with so many different viewpoints that it's really dumb to blanket all of those people into a community when a lot of them don't even interact with each other. Like again, your sense of community, I think, is basically who you surround you, who you choose to surround yourself with. And if you're in a situation you're like, man, like I'm not really feeling it. Like it just seems like there's a lot of negativity. I think that's a good sign for you to evaluate who you are surrounding yourself with, as opposed to complaining about the bigger picture of the community, who are people you've never even interacted with. You know what I mean?
For sure, exactly. But yeah, so I think that's gonna cover it for the most part. As always, this has been the Smash Dispatch podcast. You can catch us every week on the internet talking about this stuff. Let us know in the comments below, your feelings, how you feel about Smash community as a whole. And I'll definitely read through them and stuff. And that's it. That's all for this week. So thank you all for listening in. I'm Fidel. As always, we got Ultimate Shadow X. You can follow him on Twitter. You can follow me at GamesCageX. And we will see you all next week. So peace out, and we love you.
Yeah, peace out. Take care.